Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So it's finally official. Social Security recipients on average are going to be receiving an increase of right around $650, with some receiving even more than that. But could the increase be even higher in 2027? In today's video, we are going to be breaking down everything that you need to know. But before we go ahead and dive into for today, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in the pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. At that point in time, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock is just sell it for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so on Friday, the Social Security Administration officially announced the cost of living adjustment increase for 2026. It came in at 2.8%, which was much higher than what was originally expected back in earlier on this year, back in January, for example, when most organizations and people had their projections at right around 2.1%, which would have actually been a decrease from this year's COLA of 2.5%. Instead, we're actually going to be receiving a higher cost of living adjustment increase for next year in 2026 than what we did this year at 2.5%. This is going to be an increase of right around $650 on average, with some people, of course, receiving even more than that. But could the increase for 2027 actually be even higher, with the inflation numbers seemingly only increasing month by month? Once again, we're going to be covering everything that you need to know in today's video. So starting out with this article here from the Senior Citizens League, they say that today the Social Security Administration announced that 2026 cost of living adjustment will be 2.8%. On average, retired workers' Social Security checks will increase by $54 per month, from $2,008 up to $2,062 effective January 1st. So of course that increase from $2,008 to $2,062 per month is a $54 per month increase. That is very close to $650 on an annual basis. So that is the average. $650 is the average, but of course for someone receiving $4,000, $4,500, or close to $5,000, or even the max of $5,108, if you're able to wait all the way until the age of 70, you're going to be receiving even more than that. So it really depends on how much you're receiving. Now, of course, you are going to have the Medicare Part B premium that is also going to be increasing by right around $21.50 per month next year as well. So it's going to be taking down the increase just a little bit. But all in all, 2.8% of course is more than what was originally expected earlier on this year. Now they go on here to say that the 2026 COLA will be slightly higher than the last COLA. The 2026 COLA is 0.3 percentage points higher than the 2.5% COLA implemented at the start of 2025. From a historic standpoint, this COLA is about average, though, ranking 29th out of the 51 COLAs announced since the government tied COLAs to the Consumer Price Index in 1975. Now, inflation has climbed since the beginning of this year. So this February, for example, TSCO's model predicted that the 2026 COLA would come in at 2.1% amid signs of cooling inflation. However, our predictions ticked upward throughout the year as the Trump administration implemented economic policy changes, including sweeping tariffs, new tax breaks for seniors who earn enough to pay income taxes, and stricter immigration enforcement. By August, our prediction had climbed to 2.7%, and finally, officially, it is 2.8% today. So once again, back in February, the Senior Citizens League predicted a cost of living adjustment of 2.1%. But when it was all said and done, 8 months later in October, that rose all the way up to 2.8%, 0.7 percentage points. That is quite a bit and very much unexpected. And as they mentioned there, a lot of this is because of Trump's tariffs that he has implemented. Even though he is a huge fan of those tariffs, some Republicans are very much huge fans of tariffs, but some Republicans are very much anti-tariff as well, and they don't believe these tariffs should be taking place, and they're very much against tariffs because they would believe that inflation will take place because of it. And as we can see, inflation has taken place as we are now back up to 3% on an annualized basis, according to the most recent inflation report. Now you can see up on the screen here, these are the projections for the cost of living adjustment since the beginning of this year. So you can see from the TSCO predictions, 2.2% in January, it went down to 2.1% at its lowest in February. But since February, it was rising slightly every single month, 2.2% in March, 2.3% in April, 2.4% in May, 2.5% in June, 2.6% in July, 2.7% in August, once again at 2.7% in September, and then finally 2.8% was the official number in October. So that was very much impressively, just going up at a steady pace each and every month. It's nice receiving on one hand, it's nice receiving a higher cost of living adjustment on one hand, but on the other hand, that also means that you're paying more for goods and services. And we've seen that on average over the past few decades, even though these cost of living adjustments have been increasing, the actual inflation, it typically ends up being higher than what the cost of living adjustments are. So we're always trying to play this game of catch up. And we've seen that over the last 15 years, we've lost right around 20% of buying power because the cost of living adjustments are not keeping up with the actual inflation that is taking place. Now, as far as key insights go, they say that most seniors rely on Social Security for most of their income. So a 2025 TSCL study finds that 73% of seniors depend on Social Security for more than half of their income. About 39% rely on Social Security for all of their income, while another 34% depend on the program for 51% to 99% of their income. TSCO estimates that the median senior survives on less than $2,000 a month, so a lot of people are really struggling to get by. And as you can imagine, these cost of living adjustments are very important. They also mention here that subpar COLAs drive deep dissatisfaction among older Americans. So only 10% of seniors are happy with the amount they receive from their monthly Social Security checks, with many citing COLAs that lag inflation as a problem. TSCL's research found that 94% of seniors said the 2025 COLA of 2.5% was too low and would cause their monthly checks to fall behind inflation. And finally, seniors are calling for reform in the COLA calculations. TSCL's research has found that 93% of seniors believe that Social Security and Medicare reform should be a top priority or a high priority for the Trump administration and Congress. Further, when asked to pick just one area of Social Security to prioritize, the top choice was better COLAs at 34%, followed by improving Social Security's long-term finances at 33%. So with that said, leave your thoughts and comments below. Are you also dissatisfied with the cost of living adjustments that have been handed out over the past few years? And what do you think about a 2.8% cost of living adjustment next year in 2026? Is that something that you could be happy with? Are you dissatisfied? If you're dissatisfied, you certainly would not be alone. Most people receiving Social Security are not entirely happy with the cost of living adjustments. They do not believe that they keep up with inflation, and they certainly don't. With that said, 2027 looking very, very far ahead. This is not going to be announced until next year, until October of 2026. But could the cost of living adjustment be even higher next year in 2027 with inflation continuing to trick upwards? I asked Google AI. They came out with this answer. They said that a precise 2027 COLA cannot be estimated, as it depends on inflation during Q3 2026, which is unknown. However, given the 2026 COLA of 2.8% and inflation is predicted to continue, the 2027 COLA will likely be higher than 2.8%, though economists' predictions vary. Factors like potential rate cuts by the Federal Reserve and the continued impact of tariffs could push inflation unless the COLA higher than current forecasts suggest. So as far as factors influencing the 2027 COLA, first off is inflation. So the 2027 COLA will be based on the average CPIW for Q3 2025 compared to Q3 2026. If, of course, inflation remains high or accelerates, the COLA will be higher. Secondly, tariffs. Tariffs can increase the cost of imported goods. Are we going to continue these tariffs, or are we going to back down from them? Also, Federal Reserve's actions, so interest rate decisions by the Federal Reserve, can influence inflation. So rate cuts, like they have been doing, intended to stimulate the economy, could lead to more spending and thus higher inflation as well. The COLA calculation is another factor. So they said that the COLA is calculated using a specific formula based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. The final COLA will be determined by the CPIW figures from July, August, and September 2026. And then finally, inflationary pressure. So some analysts believe that the current COLA estimates do not adequately account for the actual inflation experienced by seniors, which is often higher than the overall CPI. So the way things are going, the way things are looking right now, it does appear that the 2027 COLA could actually be even higher than 2.8% if these tariffs do in fact stick and we continue to see inflation go upwards. We'll have to wait and see though. Obviously that is a very far away, but leave your thoughts and comments below. I would definitely love to read them, but that's all we have for today's video, and I will see you in the next one.